The Last of Us is my favorite game of all time. If you have not played it, please do. I highly recommend the remastered version on the PS4 or the PS5. That being said, The Last of Us, in my opinion, is an untouchable classic. Well, it's hard to say classic when the game was only released 7 years ago. When I heard the news about the remake, there was only one word that went through my head. Why? I think that's kind of what went through everybody's head. Before we jump into that, let's provide a bit of backstory. On April 9th, 2021, Jason Schreier published an article titled, "Sony's Obsession with Blockbusters is Stirring Unrest Within the PlayStation Empire." You can tell what this article is about right away, so let's dive into it. What happened is that a group of experienced developers at Sony wanted to make their own studio. What they wanted to do is expand on other PlayStation franchises. They wanted to remake the original Naughty Dog classic Uncharted from 2007. Remakes are a safe bet since they're easier to develop and old fans will buy them, which gets introduced to new fans. This project was going to be called T1X, which sounds like a model of a Terminator if you ask me. Uncharted 1 is a game that could use remakes since it's pretty outdated, so the team decided Uncharted 1 is going to be T1X. Apparently, that would cost too much, and Jim Ryan, the head of PlayStation, did not like that. So what did they decide was the next best option? Throwing darts at a wall, and whatever it landed on was going to be remade. All jokes aside, the real reason they decided with The Last of Us was because it was of little risk. Apparently Sony isn't a huge fan of risk nowadays. They want huge, AAA, multi-million-dollar mega hits exclusive to PlayStation, like God of War 2, a new Uncharted, Spider-Man, or, once you know it, a Last of Us remake. All these games are great, but they're also pretty risk-averse. Just like a remake, a sequel to God of War would instantly guarantee Sony millions. So Jim Ryan starts knocking on the doors of their studios and telling them to drop everything. Make Uncharted 5, because your brand new IP won't sell nearly as much, kid. This is more apparent when Sony reorganized its smaller group of Japanese studios, which made titles such as Gravity Rush and Everybody's Golf. They were all great games, but not multi-million-dollar sellers. But these titles didn't sell nearly as well as something like Horizon Zero Dawn did, so they kind of just got rid of them. They don't want to produce smaller games that are only popular in Japan. You could probably tell that this wasn't helping Sony's image at all. Recently, Xbox has been running circles around them by offering an amazing deal with Xbox Game Pass. Heck, MLB The Show 21, the next entry in a franchise that has been exclusive to PlayStation, is finally coming over to Xbox consoles. The thing is that it's free with Game Pass when it comes out in a few weeks. This means Xbox users get it for free. PlayStation users, on the other hand, have to pay $70 for it. That's when people turn to Jim Ryan. People started pointing out a few things that the previous head of PlayStation, Shawn Layden, said.
A little earlier, I was delighted to hear Andy give a shout out to one of the most iconic games of our time, Vib Ribbon. Yeah, give it up for Vib Ribbon. A personal favorite of mine that really embodies the PlayStation spirit. It wasn't a multi-million seller, but that's not the point. Vib Ribbon was unafraid to go against the tide. It was courageous in its ambition, and it brought a completely new experience to gamers. It's an incredible time to be part of the PlayStation family. I look forward to growing our gaming community through breakthrough experiences that inspire and delight. After all, guys, it's all about the games, isn't it?
This is the exact opposite image of what Jim Ryan is setting. Instead of embracing these new and wacky ideas that developers can create, they're being forced to work on games that are sure to succeed. Without these wacky ideas, we wouldn't have PlayStation since they are a Japanese company. Another great example that Jason Sharp pointed out was Days Gone. Days Gone was a game developed by PlayStation's Bend Studios in 2019. The game was considered great, but didn't sell as well as 2018's God of War. Sony considered it to be a failure, and when Bend wanted to make a Days Gone 2, Sony said no. Bend is now working on a new IP, which should turn out good. The thing is that they kind of wanted to explore the world that they had set up. Now they can't because it was deemed too risky. Now let's talk about the Last of Us remake. You know, that small team that is working on it? Yeah, Sony kind of just shut them down and gave the remake to Naughty Dog, the original developers. I wouldn't know how to feel if I were them. They just kind of put off the sequel to The Last of Us Part 2. They probably wanted to move on to other franchises. The thing is that The Last of Us has aged incredibly well. The characters are still far better than most AAA titles today. The gameplay, on the other hand, is a little bit clunky, but holds up really well. But you don't play The Last of Us for the gameplay. You play it for the story. A game needs a remake when it hasn't aged super well. But people still have fond memories of it. Take Resident Evil 2, for example. A beloved game made back in 1998. The original, you couldn't turn your body when you stopped moving. The graphics haven't aged so hot either. The cutscenes and voice acting is laughable.
Who are you? Oh, you must be the new guy. Leon. Sorry, but it looks like your party has been canceled.
You also have to watch the loading screen every time you open a door. Most people probably forgot about all this, because it'd been so long since they played it. Then you get Resident Evil 2 Remake, and it's the original, just improved in almost every aspect while still feeling like the original.
Can't take him.
Stop. And don't make my mistake. If you see one of those things, uniform or not, you do not hesitate. You take it out, or you run. Got it?
Yes, sir.
This is what The Last of Us was like 7 years ago.
I know, baby. I know. Sarah. Baby. Don't do this to me, baby. Don't do this to me, baby. Come on. No. 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 Please. 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 Please.
This is literally the first 15 minutes of the game, and it's already sucked you in. Like I said, this game does not need a remake. This isn't a, oh, I can't believe that we used to think this was good graphics type of situation. You know what else was released 7 years ago? GTA 5, CSGO, Legend of Zelda, Link Between Worlds, Bioshock Infinite, Tomb Raider Reboot, Super Mario 3D World, and the list goes on and on. Saying that The Last of Us could use a remake means that these games need one as well, which they do not. PlayStation should spend their resources on other games that deserve sequels and remakes. They need to realize that taking risks is what pushes the gaming industry forward. Unfortunately, we'll just have to wait and see.